Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I'm back with another episode of Road to Ranked, where I climb the online regulation I VGC ladder in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet and provide live commentary as I go. In this video, I'll be showcasing what I think is the best Giratina Origin form team I've seen so far in the Reg I format. This team top cut a regional championship in Australia, and Giratina Origin is a really underplayed pick right now. I think it actually matches up super well as an anti-meta pick in the format because of its ability to do super well into certain restricteds that are very popular. For example, you can threaten Shadow Rider with Shadow Sneak. That's a one-hit knockout if they don't Terra. You also can wall Zamazenta and Body Press. You can also wall Koraidon if they're not running Dragon-type attacks, which is typical on most movesets. And you can do well into Ice Rider with the combination of Fire Terra as well as Levitate. In addition, Giratina is really good into certain non-restricteds like Water Urshifu, Rillaboom, as well as Ursaluna, for example. Giratina also feels like it can two-shot almost anything in the format that doesn't resist or is immune to Poltergeist. And on this team as well, you also have Chien-Pao to drop your opponent's defense, and so you can often get knockouts with a combination of Poltergeist into a Shadow Sneak. Overall, I think Giratina is just really fun, and it is very well balanced into a lot of the common teams right now, so I'm eager to showcase what it can do. As always, I'll do a quick breakdown of the team, but if you want to just skip to the battles, check out the timestamps down below, and thanks so much as always for joining me. If you enjoy, I'd really appreciate if you consider leaving a like on the video or subscribing to the channel. It really helps out a ton. Anyway, let's get started. If you're interested in trying out the team, the rental code is on the screen, and there's also an accompanying PokePaste down in the description below. Giratina really shines as the star on this team, as it's able to do so much damage with moves like Poltergeist and Draco Meteor. You've got Chien-Pao to drop your opponent's defense. You've got a lot of physical attackers here to also take advantage of Sword of Ruin. Zamazenta is both a really strong offensive piece as well as a defensive piece, having Wide Guard to protect Giratina, while also being able to dish out damage with Body Press and Behemoth Bash. Entei matches up really well into Fake Out users in the format. Rillaboom provides you Fake Out support and gives you good coverage into Water-type Pokemon. And Urshifu here, of course, can punch holes through teams while also being able to offer coaching, attack, and defense boosts onto Zamazenta and Giratina. Overall, the team has both a lot of offense and defense to work with, and Giratina's typing lends well into having a solid defensive matchup into a lot of common Pokemon. For some quick context, this team debuted at the Melbourne Regional Championships, which took place in the middle of May and had over 250 players competing in the tournament. Giratina Origin form basically has barely seen any play, let alone get into the top 16 of a major tournament, but Drew here was able to bring it into the top 16, having a really solid win rate of 8 wins and 2 losses. And as you can see, there's really basically just no other Giratinas even close to the top 64, right? And so really impressive to be able to, first of all, take a restricted Pokemon that basically no one really is using and to make such a deep run with it. And I think part of it is people's inexperience in playing against this Pokemon. Giratina, just not really common at all. But yeah, I was really drawn to this team because I was like, okay, it's already cool to see a Giratina team. Even cooler that Drew was able to take it so far in a tournament and bring it to a top 16 finish here at the event. Breaking down the team, the first Pokemon we have to highlight is Giratina Origin form. Question of the day, by the way, I want to know what your favorite song currently is down in the comment section below. Now, Giratina Origin form is really interesting. It's historically not really seen any play in VGC, but it finally gets a chance to shine in the format right now because of its ability to match up really well into common picks, as I mentioned in the intro. Giratina has really solid base stats across the board, and so as a result, we're actually running a Brave Nature here. Giratina's base speed isn't that bad. You actually don't really mind giving up the stats here though, because you really want the increase in your attack, right? Of course, you could run just a nature that's neutral across the board, but the extra attack investment goes a really long way since you're clicking Poltergeist so frequently. With base 90 speed, there aren't that many Pokemon in this speed tier range that you feel like you need to consistently outpace anyway, and so it's okay to forego a little bit of stat distribution and speed in order to make sure that you can maximize everything else. You're going to be clicking Poltergeist most of the time with this set. Poltergeist does at least 50%, 60% into so many common Pokemon in the format, which is awesome. And often you'll do enough damage with Poltergeist where you can finish something off with Shadow Sneak shortly after. So this is the move that you're going to click most of the time. Just know that it can miss. It's 90% accurate, and it fails if your opponent doesn't have an held item. So you have to be extra cautious of that, right? If your opponent had like an Electric Seed, for example, consumed, then you can't click this. If your opponent had a Focus Sash, right, consumed, then you won't be able to click this, although you probably should be Shadow Sneaking in that position anyway, but just important to remember. Fire Terra, really nice with Levitate. This is a super good defensive combination. Allows you to, for example, wall opposing Calyrex Ice Riders. They just really can't do much to you other than Glacial Lance or Leech Seed you. But it takes Ice Riders a lot of time to like slowly whittle away at Giratina. Giratina's regular typing is honestly pretty great. Like the ghost typing is awesome because it gives you the coverage into so many of those common fighting type Pokemon that you often will go up against, right? And so Giratina can position itself really well into things like Zamazenta as well as Urshifu. Draco Meteor gives you special coverage as well because otherwise you're only relying on physical damage, and that does not feel very good. And so Draco allows you to just, chunk away at things while also threatening opposing dragon types for one-hit knockouts, right? Like Koraidon, for example. Overall, really fun Pokemon to use. The other restricted on this team is Zamazenta. It's funny because the team creator mentioned that initially Giratina was just Shadow Rider, but they were like, I'm so sick of playing the Shadow Rider Zamazenta mirror. I don't want to deal with speed ties with the Shadow Riders, so now we're actually using Giratina and Zamazenta. The main thing that I love about this Zama is the Ghost Terra in particular. This allows you to match up really well into opposing Zamas and fighting types as well. And Double Ghost is actually often really valuable in this format because of the amount of fighting type attackers, right? Whether it be opposing Zamas or Urshifus. Otherwise, pretty standard. You're going to run your classic set here. Iron Head turns into Behemoth Bash. And the main thing to note here is that Zama is fairly speedy. However, we're in a format right now where like people are running up to max speed Zamazenta, so there's a wide distribution of speed investment on Zamas, but this gives you an edge against a lot of Zamas that I found, and often against like even Miraidons that are not investing a ton in speed. Zamazenta can outpace as well, which is really nice. To round out the team, you've got Chien-Pao, Entei, Urshifu, and Rillaboom. If you followed VGC in the previous regulation and watched the 2024 World Championships, you'll notice that 5 of the 6 here are actually on the team that got top 4 at Worlds, piloted by Michael Kelsch, which is really cool. Life Orb Chien-Pao, this is going to be a really valuable pick, of course, into opposing Miraidon compositions. You also just have really good, damage here, obviously, with Icicle Crash, Crunch, and Sucker Punch, and Sword of Ruin allows you to drop your opponent's defense, of course, making Giratina even scarier. Life Orb Entei here with Inner Focus, valuable pick into all the Fake Out users, especially Instant plus Rilla. Stone Edge, really good into fire types like Incineroar and Volcarona. Sacred Fire, really good, of course, into so many common Pokemon, but especially grass types. This is going to be really good into like Amoonguss, for example. Otherwise, you've got Normal Terra Extreme Speed, which can just dish out a lot of damage, right? You've got a lot of priority with this team, like everything has priority outside of Zamazenta, and so you can often like chain your priority and just knock something out before they even get the chance to move, even if they're really fast. And this Entei actually has a fair bit of bulk investment as well. A lot of Enteis normally just run like near max speed and max attack, but this one actually has a lot of HP investment as well. Finally, you've got Choice Scarf, Urshifu, and Rillaboom. Scarf Urshifu doesn't really need any explanation, but the main thing to call out here is that you do have coaching. This allows you to go for coaching on a Zamazenta or Giratina often, which is really nice. You can lead Urshifu Zama. People often feel pressure to deal with like Surging Strikes pressure, right? Like imagine you lead this and people are like, oh, I'm going to like switch in a grass type like Rillaboom or like Amoonguss, but then you just get a coaching boost onto one of these. It can give you a big edge often. Otherwise, Water Terra Surging, really strong, and then you have Aqua Jet here. Of course, you could fit something like U-Turn on it, but these moves are all really, really good. Rillaboom here, pretty straightforward Pokemon, but you're normally going to want to bring it into the opposing Miraidon matchup as well. I find against most Miraidon teams, I want Rilla Chien-Pao with Zama Giratina. Rillaboom also going to be good into Kyogre teams, for example, and it's also really valuable in hitting Water Terras, which otherwise can be a really solid defensive Terra into the rest of this team. So, pretty self-explanatory Pokemon, but still really consistently good, especially in a format where Miraidon is still so common. In terms of ways to play with the team, so many leads that you can go with. I often like leading Chien-Pao with offense right away, right? Like you can go Power Urshifu and just pressure with a lot of damage. You can go, for example, Urshifu Zama, Urshifu Giratina, where you pressure with coaching immediately. I find that I, kind of split my time with Giratina in the front versus the back. I often like trying to like chip away a little bit at my opponent's team and then bring out Giratina, where it can just Poltergeist everything afterwards. It's not the fastest Pokemon, right? So you have to be a little bit cautious of that as well. But I think this team is really powerful, and you can really go with any combination of leads and have it be fairly powerful, right? There's a lot of flexibility in how you can distribute damage. But yeah, some of my favorites include like Chien-Pao with the restricteds, or Urshifu with the restricteds, or Rillaboom with the restricteds. If you wanted things to be really anti-fake out, you can go Entei Ghost Terra Zama, Entei Giratina, or Zama Giratina. With these, you have, Inner Focus, you have Ghost typing, and then Ghost Terra here as well. In terms of weaknesses and things to watch out for Giratina in particular, this Pokemon hates going up against normal type Pokemon in Terras. So Pokemon like Indeedee, Smeargle, Terapagos can all be a nuisance. Giratina also, of course, relies heavily on its physical damage, and so if you're able to reduce its physical damage through Intimidate or Reflect, it can definitely make Giratina sadder as well. This team in general, by the way, is almost entirely physical damage, and so Reflect is really, really valuable into it, so you have to be a little bit cautious of that. You obviously have ways to stop it, like Rillaboom plus something to fake out into an attack to deny, you know, whatever's clicking Reflect, like Grimmsnarl, the ability to actually get it off. But, of course, they can get around that with a Ghost Terra, or if they're super, super bulky, can survive your physical damage and then still get Reflect up on turn 2. So, just wanted to call that out in particular. Zama doesn't love going up against opposing ghost types and Terras. Something like Ghost Terra, Incin with Will-O-Wisp is really common in the previous format to deal with Zama. Still exists today. Otherwise, things to note, Urshifu here, no bulk, so you are vulnerable to things like Thunderclap from Raging Bolt. Entei here sometimes feels like a volatile Pokemon. It's Life Orb, it's powerful, but it often actually misses one-hit knockouts, which can feel a little bit bad, and it's also vulnerable to misses with Sacred Fire as well as Stone Edge. And like, Extreme Speed with Normal Terra can be really good. You're not going to one-shot a lot of things in this format. You often two-shot it, right? But you have to be careful because if you commit that Normal Terra Extreme Speed, of course, you do then become weak to like fighting type damage as well. Rillaboom really does not love going up against Incineroar / Intimidate. Also, it doesn't match up super well into like Ice Rider, for example. And then Champao also doesn't love going up against Incineroar / Intimidate. And of course, you are going to be vulnerable to missing Icicle Crash as well. So one of the bigger trends with this team is that you do have a lot of moves that can miss in Poltergeist, Draco, Icicle Crash, Stone Edge, and Sacred Fire. These are all really key moves, and so you have to be a little bit cautious. You are going to miss, you know, moves when you use this team. That's just part of it. So yeah, keep that in mind as you play with it. But those are just a couple of things that I wanted to mention. We've got Kyogre Shadow Rider here with Rillaboom, Urshifu, Incineroar, and Tornadus. I think Giratina is pretty awesome here into Shadow Rider. Immune to Fake Out as well. I pressure with Shadow Sneak. So I like that. Zama Wide Guard should be really helpful here as well. Ghost Terra Zama is also really helpful here. Probably don't want to bring Entei into this matchup. Rilla, I think, generally comes out in the Kyogre matchup. And then, I mean, Urshifu works here, right? If you don't bring Tornadus, I can just Surging Strikes you, which is huge. So let's assume they go Tornadus. What would you go with? Torn, Kyogre, maybe? Shadow Rider +1? I'm mainly debating if I want Champao. It does give me Sucker Punch, which is nice. I think it's like Rilla, Giratina, Zama for sure. I'm actually thinking about Rilla, Giratina lead. Yeah, like Fake Out immunity, Surging Strikes, and Water Spouts don't do a ton. This gives me Fake Out as well. Zama in the back. And then Champao or Urshifu 4th, I think. My guess is that they're going to Terra Shadow Rider here. Curious what Terra would even be. Okay, I'm going to go with Ursh here because I get to take advantage of their rain and I get to resist water, but I think Champao also makes a ton of sense. You could go with either. So, let's see. I think Giratina is a really interesting early bring here, right? Because I can dish out a lot of damage immediately with it. I'm immune to your Fake Outs. And if you lead Tornadus, I can just completely ignore the Tornadus. It is going to be Tornogre. Okay. I think my main question here then is whether or not Kyogre Terras or switches on turn 1. Right, you could pretty easily Tailwind protect turn 1. You could even just Bleak Wind Storm Water Spout. Tornadus is normally going to run Covert Cloak or Sash. You could switch this out into Incin. This could Terra Water, could Terra Ghost, could Terra Grass. I think the safest option is probably to go just Fake Out into Kyogre turn 1 and then launch a Poltergeist into Tornadus. I want to see what they do with the Kyogre slot, right? It could be a switch on turn 1. It could be a Terra. I don't want to ignore it and have it Grass Terra on me, but if it's Water or Grass Terra here, that's fine, I think. Ghost Terra would be really interesting. Okay. I can't say I expected that one. It's going to be the Electric Terra on Kyogre. Well, that works for me. We won't be able to move here. Actually go straight for a Bleak Wind Storm. Actually does a ton to Rillaboom there. Drops Giratina speed as well. That's fine. Kyogre flinches. So it's not Scarf Kyogre. Poltergeist here. It's meant to Orb Tornadus. Interesting. Okay. There's a lot there. They should Tailwind right now. I'm thinking I can just go Grassy Glide here, which reduces Water Spout damage. And Poltergeist into Kyogre. Yep. They Tailwind, but I'm already accepting that you're going to be faster than me, so that's fine. That does a lot. Wow. Nice. And they Water Spout. Beautiful. Electric Terra is just so interesting. That is not very common, but of course it does give you a resistance to Electric. And it is Choice Spec, so yeah. It's a unique defensive Terra on Kyogre, specifically, like, I think you can use it into Koraidon. It's just like Grass Terra is a lot more common because, obviously, the Rain reduces Fire-type damage, right? But Rilla Giratina, honestly, was huge as a lead for us here. It allowed me to bait out a Terra. Now they bring out Calyrex, and, like, how are you going to deal with this, right? Giratina can just Shadow Sneak you. Tornadus probably goes Bleak Wind. You would think Calyrex here either protects as you Bleak Wind. Honestly, I could switch into Zama. Like, we have so much priority right now, which is the best part, I think, for us. So one play I could make here is simply Grassy Glide and Shadow Sneak double up into Calyrex. Where do we think Focus Sash is on their team? Could be on Urshifu. Like, I kind of want to make the gamble and target Calyrex, but I think it's always safe to target Tornadus, break Sash on Calyrex. I could even Terra Zama. But because I know I have Urshifu in the back, I actually think it's fine to double up onto Calyrex here. Okay, they do go for the Protect, but that's fine. Now I just get to bring out Urshifu. Yeah, I figured if, like, they get greedy there and see, you know, a KO in front of them, and we knock out Calyrex and they don't get an attack off with it, I should win the game on the spot from there. And even with this, I still feel fine. Giratina is just taking these Bleak Winds like no problem, which is fantastic. Okay, now I can bring out Urshifu. I think with Urshifu out here, I can actually probably Shadow Sneak Tornadus, Water Terra, Surging Strikes here, which covers for basically anything they could do. Because I could see them switching Calyrex right now. If they don't switch, then Water Terra Surging just KOs you, right? And they do switch, yeah, exactly. Into their own Urshifu, that's totally fine. And now we've stalled this game to a point where their Tailwind's about to expire, right? So, yeah, this is part of the reason why I wanted to bring my Urshifu. Like, one, I can take advantage of their Rain. Two, if their Tailwind expires, it's just the fastest Pokemon often. But Giratina was a really nice defensive lead for us here into Kyogre. So Shadow Sneak comes out. Beautiful. KO's Tornadus. That faints. Main scary thing would have been maybe if they had Incin in the back. Incin switch in. But then you would have just lost your Incineroar immediately. Surging does over 50 here as well, which is great. Okay, fantastic. We still have Zama in the back, which obviously is going to be pretty good thanks to Wide Guard. They still have one last turn of Tailwind here. I wonder if Shadow Sneak actually gets the knockout onto their Urshifu. I'm not 100% sure. Last turn of Rain as well. I can always Shadow Sneak Calyrex here. Even if I lose both Mons, it's okay, right? Yeah, I think I can always switch into Zama here. And go for Shadow Sneak. Shadow Sneak would bring Calyrex down to Focus Sash. And then Urshifu should be able to win a 1v2, I think. I might not even lose Zamazenta here. I don't think Shadow Sneak would have KO'd Urshifu. Ah, they should go for Aqua Jet, but yeah, Giratina resists that, so kind of surprised to see that. And they're not Focus Sash Calyrex. Oh, Giratina, the beast that you are. Oh my goodness, that was satisfying. This is actually part of why Giratina is such an awesome pick, right? You actually get to wall opposing Urshifus, which is great, and you get to Shadow Sneak opposing Calyrexes. So now we can just body press and Poltergeist. And body press gets the KO, but Giratina was incredible for us in this one. Like, how many attacks did it take, right? Bleak Wind, Water Spout, Aqua Jet. Soaked up all this damage, and it had the priority Shadow Sneak, which was really, really valuable. Poltergeist turn 1 did so much damage into Tornadus as well. We used it to finish off, of course, the Tornadus, and then Shadow Sneak to just one-shot Shadow Rider as well. So, yeah, I was kind of surprised they went for Aqua Jet there, but, you know, they were probably thinking, well, you might just Surging Strikes into my Calyrex. I just feel like, because you should expect to get Astral Barrage off there with Calyrex, like Aqua Jet into Urshifu plus Astral Barrage makes sense. Whereas Aqua Jetting into Giratina, I'm not sure you ever need that damage anyway, right? But, yeah, maybe they were just expecting to do a little bit more. Like, yes, I resist, but the rain is up after wall, right? But Giratina was just phenomenal in that one, right? Like, I think this game really showcased both how bulky it can be, as well as its ability to actually threaten a one-hit knockout onto the, you know, one of the fastest, most powerful Pokemon in the format in Shadow Rider. And the lead specifically was very anti-Kyogre, so we were able to use it to bait out an early Terra from Kyogre, which was huge. And then once you Terra Kyogre, it means you can't Terra Shadow Rider, and that's, you know, just a complete dream for Giratina. We've got Zama Shadow Rider here with Chien-Pao, Rock, Ogerpon, Amoonguss, and Raging Bolt. Zama Shadow Rider is the talk of the town right now. It's basically everywhere. Giratina should actually be really good here into this. What else do I want to bring? We're mainly physical damage, which is a little bit scary against opposing Zama, but I think the fact that we're also Ghost Terra Zama should bode well for us. So I'm thinking those two. Chien-Pao could honestly be Entei fourth here. Like, Sacred Fire Burn Impression as Zama's nice. It also could just be Urshifu. The main thing about Urshifu, I don't think it's Rilla here. Rilla's really bad into opposing Zama, but it does give me a Spore immunity into Amoonguss. But I don't know if I love it. I think it's probably Urshifu here. Like, Surging Strikes is actually really good. What would they lead with is the question. Calyrex Amoonguss is definitely scary. We have so many viable lead options. I'm a little bit scared about Raging Bolt lead, so I want to cover for that. Bolt Amoonguss maybe is a viable lead for them. Bolt Amoonguss actually is really scary. I think I'm going to go Zama Chien-Pao then, Giratina, Urshifu. But I think Entei could work here, for sure. You just have to be really careful with it. There's not that much fake out on my opponent's side, right? And so I think Entei loses some value. If they were like, you know, Instant and Rilla, I'd be a little bit more convinced, but it's Amoonguss, Bolt, Ogerpon. Yeah, it's Raging Bolt lead, okay. I mean, this is okay. I'm applying a ton of offensive pressure here on turn 1. There's not much stopping Protect Body Press into Bolt turn 1, I think. Could also just double up into Ogre immediately. Like, Bolt should be the priority here, because if we eliminate Bolt, assuming they have Shadow Rider and Zama in the back, Water, Terra, Urshifu, like, it just opens the door completely for it. So I think turn 1 I'm going to go Body Press into Bolt and then Protect here. This covers for everything basically but Protect on Bolt, but or switch into Shadow Rider. If Bolt protects, it means, like, what, or Ogerpon maybe gets an Ivy Cudgel off, that's fine. I could see them going Protect and then Ivy Cudgeling into Chien-Pao. I think that's an option. But I think they could also just go Thunderclap, Ivy Cudgel. No Terra from their end, no switch, okay? Beautiful, okay. I'm already really happy with this turn. Because this means, even if Bolt protects, I can double up onto Ogerpon next turn. And they don't protect Bolt, so... Oh, and we just get a crit for a KO. I would expect Raging Bolt to survive that, but with very low HP at the end of it, right? Like, maybe around 15-20% max. With sort of Rune Defense drop. But yeah, you know, even if they Thunderbolted into Zama there, I think we would have been in pretty good shape in that one. Turn 2, I could, depending on how much they do, right? Like, we didn't see Booster Energy. It could be Assault Vest. It also could be, like, Choice Specs or Magnet. They're going to bring out Zama. I I think with this, I'm honestly down to just rip the Ghost Terra on Zama right now and just double up onto Ogerpon. With Ghost Terra, you just can't do anything into my Zama with your Zama. And then we have Urshifu. I don't know if I need to Terra. It's just, right now I think I have a pretty clear Ghost Terra, Body Press into you, and Crunch into you. They could go for a double Spiky Shield, so I could Ice Skull Crash. I think I'll go for Crunch here, though. This is actually a really interesting scenario. Like, normally I would not even think about Ice Skull Crash, but I actually think it is the right move for my opponent to double Spikies, but let's see if they find it. Just don't want to risk the miss. And the main idea, of course, is to avoid contact. Okay, they're going to Terra. That's fine. This is huge. Right now, you've Terra'd your Zamazenta. Like, I've got Giratina in the back waiting to just hit the Shadow Rider. Terra Water is fine. It's going to be a little bit annoying to deal with, but the key thing here is us having Ghost Terra means we should always win the Zama 1v1, because you just can't do anything into us. So, great. They're not going to go for a Spiky Shield, and we just cleanly knock out Ogerpon. So, 2 quick knockouts to start this game, and I've got Giratina waiting in the back. Dual Ghost means I just completely wall Shadow Rider, right? So yeah, they body press us here, and this is where the Ghost Terra is huge. Shadow Rider now comes out. With this, I am happy to just go for Crunch and Body Press. Oh, I do have Wide Guard. It's probably worth Wide Guarding here. No, but if you Astral Barrage, it's fine, because I've got Giratina in back, which will always win against Zama. So I think what I can do is actually just Body Press into Zama and Crunch into Calyrex. Yeah, they just Astral Barrage, which is fine. Didn't want to Sucker Punch there in case they like Nasty Plot. And we survived with both. Beautiful. Yeah, so now this should just win the game. Your Sash, but that's fine. I didn't want to double up into Calyrex because, of course, I could double up and then Zama could get an attack off, and I'm fine just splitting my damage here. Like, I don't do much, but I don't need to do that much as they knock out Chien-Pao. And now I just get Giratina in for free, right? And the Giratina just completely walls my opponent from this point onwards. So with this, I can just go for Shadow Sneak into the Calyrex slot. I also maybe could have just gone Urshifu first and pressure Aqua Jet, like Aqua Jet Protect. But I'm fine just spamming the Body Press here and the Shadow Sneak into Calyrex here. This is why I wanted to really prioritize knocking out Raging Bolt, because I felt like it pressured Giratina and Urshifu, and once I eliminated it, I was like, okay, Giratina and Urshifu should be very good here. So Calyrex goes for the safe Protect here, but I'm fine just going for the obvious Shadow Sneak into it. Our Zama just being faster here is also really quite nice. And they'll Heavy Slam to KO us. Oh! That did 12 damage. Just kidding. This is why you run Ghost Terra Zamazenta. But yeah, I knew Giratina would always kind of be a pin in this endgame, right? So even though it didn't get an attack off here, like, I knew once we got to this game state, Giratina by itself should win the game. And I think we had a lot of great tools here, like Ghost Terra on Zama is an absolute nightmare for both opposing Zamas, as well as, like, fake out leads, right? So I think Giratina is a Pokemon that can sometimes just like create these endgame situations where you win because it actually walls a lot of different Pokemon here. The key thing is getting Shadow Rider into that Focus Sash range, right? And I did not want to Sucker Punch as it tries to Nasty Plot there. So I was like, look, if I Crunch, the worst case is you protect Shadow Rider and then you get a Body Press off with your Zamazenta into one of my 2 Pokemon, but it's not going to knock out either, right? It brings Chien-Pao down to Sash or it brings Zamazenta low. I get a guaranteed Body Press into you. And I have this endgame where I have Giratina plus Urshifu, so I know even if I lose both of my Pokemon, I can just Surging Strike, Shadow Sneak into the Calyrex slot safely, and then the Giratina just walls the Zamazenta completely, right? Like, the best you can do is Heavy Slam me. You barely do any damage. Giratina's going to win that damage trade-off any day. And so the amount of priority that we have and us having Scarf Urshifu meant that I was in a really good spot, but we had built up a big enough lead where I didn't even get to that game state. Folks, we are up against Scraggy. I just featured this team on the channel, so if you want to see me play with this team, check out the video link down in the description below. Of course, the main idea is that Scraggy boosts Calyrex Ice Rider. It gives it coaching boosts and makes it really, really powerful. What should be really interesting here is a couple things. I think Zamazenta as well as Giratina both actually have a decent Ice Rider matchup if I Fire Terra the Giratina. So that's pretty sweet. Urshifu can crit through as well. I believe it was, what, Fire Terra on Calyrex. If you wanted to set up Trick Room, you could just go Scraggy Ice Rider. Ooh, I could also Ghost Terra Zamazenta and just Body Press KO Scraggy immediately. Wait, that's kind of fire. I could go Rilla Zama Giratina. Because this is also good into Koraidon leads, right? With this, I could actually just fake out Ghost Terra Body Press. Or I could just fake out Scraggy Body Press it as well. It's also a possibility. What do I want as the last one? I'm going Chimpao here. Chimpao's normally just pretty good into, like, Koraidon stuff, right? Because I can thread in with Icicle Crash. I think the main thing I was thinking about bringing Urshifu for a minute to deal with Fire Terra Ice Rider. But I don't really know if they need to Fire Terra. They might feel threatened by Giratina, right? At some point. Let's see what they go with. Calyrex Farigiraf. Okay. Interesting. So this does block Fake Out, which I think is actually quite smart on my opponent's end. I'm curious if they just Ice School... Sorry, Glacial Lance. Like, I could pretty easily Body Press U-turn into the Farigiraf slot or double up onto Calyrex. I can't Fake Out, obviously, but I can just Woodhammer Body Press immediately. You could go Trick Room Protect. You could go Helping Hand Glacial Lance. Those are the two I think most likely plays. You could also switch in Koraidon theoretically, but I don't think that play makes a ton of sense. Okay, I'm leaning towards Body Pressing Farigiraf and U-turning it here. Beautiful. Well, I would think this KO's Farigiraf without a defense boost from Electric Seed, but let's see. Ooh, it might not, actually. I might have needed a Woodhammer there. Oh, it hangs on with the Sliver. Okay. It's a little bit less than ideal, but I think it's still fine. I think I'm actually down to go into Giratina here, because I can just Fire Terra Giratina, which hilariously completely walls Ice Rider. Yeah, I could have gone Woodhammer there, but I figured Body Press U-turn would get the KO and allow me to pivot out. But unfortunately, Farigiraf hangs on with just a Sliver. Likely a damage roll there, honestly. I'm thinking I can go Body Press Terra. They could go Helping Hand High Horsepower onto Zamazenta. Do I really care about that? It's not going to KO me, I don't think, with the defense boost. Yeah, I think I am down to just Body Press Fire Terra Poltergeist. Yep, we force Fire Terra from their end. That's fine with me. Like, I think in theory, this combo should be quite good into my opponent. They probably go high horsepower, so maybe this turn it would have been worth it to Fire Terra and then just protect with Zama and get a free Poltergeist off. But I still feel okay about this. This is one of the other cool things about Giratina with Levitate and Fire Terra. It has a very nice Ice Rider matchup. So, yep, there's the Helping Hand. Yep. That doesn't even do... Oh, wow. We get Poltergeist off in return against Calyrex. That does about half to it. And Body Press. Doesn't KO it, but I will take that damage trade any day. Beautiful. I mean, if that's not going to get a knockout, like, I think it's fine to just go for Body Press here and Poltergeist. I could also protect Zama, but, like, why not just get the double knockout, force Koraidon to come out immediately? They should probably protect right now, like, maybe Foul Play, I guess. I'm actually also down to just double protect this turn for another turn of Grassy Terrain and bait out a protect from Calyrex. Calyrex switches though. Okay, nice play. Into Miraidon immediately. Okay. It'll obviously pressure with Electro Drift. They activate Seed with it. I think that was a really risky play by them, honestly. Like, so I probably shouldn't have double protected. Oh, wow. The double switch. I actually really like this play by them. Like, it capitalizes off me playing a little bit passive this turn. So that was very nicely done. Because I totally could have just, like, attacked both slots here and gotten a ton of damage off, right? So I think that was a really solid turn by my opponent. See, I can switch in Rillaboom pretty easily now to change terrain, which I think I'm down for. Bring out Rilla here. Draco Meteor into Miraidon. I mean, I guess I kind of have to fake out Giratina here, right? Fake out Volt Switch here makes sense, but then I have my own fake out online the next turn. So, yeah, I think maybe last turn I played a little bit passive. Like, I really like my opponent's decision to double switch there. It's risky, right? Because if I just attack with both like I did the previous turn, you eat up a ton of damage, but it ends up working out quite nicely for my opponent. But no more Quark Drive or Terrain. Yeah, they fake out Giratina. That's fine. We flinch. Okay, they just Electro Drift us. That's fine. Yeah, I survive. So the main interesting thing here is I obviously have Fake Out plus Draco Meteor available, but they could switch in Farigiraf right now. If I'm my opponent, I'm switching Miraidon out into Farigiraf and targeting Giratina. So I think I'm going to U-turn into Miraidon here, expecting that, and protect with Giratina. But they stay in with Miraidon. Wow. Okay. Yeah, they end up Dream Punching into Giratina. Nice play. I think my opponent's made some great plays to kind of stay in this one. I really like how they've played this. I can bring out Chien-Pao now. Okay. Yeah, they double up onto Giratina. Okay. So I think it makes sense for them to now pivot. I pressure with Ice Cold Crash, so I'm going to Ice Cold Crash Miraidon. Miraidon might switch out. Should probably Drain Punch into Giratina here. I think I'm okay going for Ice Cold Crash plus Poltergeist here into Miraidon. Oh, they actually stay in. Okay. Nice. Crash just knocks out Miraidon. Great. And now I get Poltergeist into Iron Hands, although they'll presumably Drain Punch to heal back some. But if you Drain Punch Chien-Pao, it means you don't target Giratina. That does so much damage. Oh my goodness. Okay. And my opponent doesn't have Fake Out available, so you're just stuck with Pokemon that are all slower now, right? And you don't have Protect on 2 of them in Iron Hands as well as the Ice Rider. Sorry, Farigiraf. Hands does heal enough where it can survive. They bring Calyrex out. I think in this position, I'm actually comfortable just clicking Crunch into you and Poltergeist into hands. This is the main thing, right? My opponent now no longer has speed control. The only way they could win this game is if they were to set up Trick Room, so I don't want to make a read and double up into Iron Hands and then have them set up Trick Room. And they don't go for Protect, which is great. So as long as we don't miss Poltergeist here, it should be game over. Beautiful. Way to go, Giratina. You can see why I really valued it in this game, right? And they end up low-kicking us, but Giratina has really done its job in this one. But I want to give my opponent props because I thought they played the mid-game really well, actually. Like, the double switch after they had Farigiraf and Ice Rider position on the field and, like, getting Hands and Miraidon out and then not switching Miraidon out into the Farigiraf to block the kind of obvious Fake Out. That was really smart. But now I can just bring Rilla in and then Crunch plus Woodhammer. The key thing was, I think, positioning Chien-Pao out right as Trick Room ended. And then being stuck on the field with Koraidon with no ability to Terra. So, last turn of Grassy Terrain, we can just go for Crunch here. All we have to do is not click any priority move here. Woodhammer, we should seal up the deal. I think in this game, it's like their Ice Rider basically felt almost useless, which was really nice. And so we were able to apply a lot of early pressure. So even with my opponent making some really nice predictions. What I was trying to set up for, by the way, when they had Farigiraf and Ice Rider on the field was I was like, oh, like they probably don't want to take damage and like switch in something, right? Because I can attack relatively safely. So I was like, from there, and it makes sense to maybe protect Ice Rider, like sack Farigiraf, get a free switch in into Iron Hands, for example. Then you have like Fake Out pressure or low kick, high horsepower pressure, for example. But the double switch was really, really smart on them, and I think definitely swung some momentum into their favor. Also, like the turn that I ended up, going for the U-turn. They doubled up into Giratina. That could have been a target into like the Rillaboom slot, which could have been a little bit scarier. But yeah, Giratina was incredible for us in this one, right? It like walled the Ice Rider completely, which is part of the theory behind Fire Terra plus Levitate. And it was able to do so much damage across the board with Poltergeist. You saw Poltergeist Sword of Rune into Iron Hands, right? That did like 70% of damage, which was incredible. So shout outs to Giratina. There's a Klefki, and there's a Torterra. Okay. I heard Torterra just made day 2 of a major over in Europe, but I don't know what set it was. I featured Iron Defense Torterra before with Amnesia, as well as Loaded Dice. Bullet Sea Torterra. Could this be an Entei game? Like immunity to Fake Out? It's not bad. Giratina, Zama. Chien-Pao for sure. I mean, yeah, screen setup with Torterra actually makes a lot of sense here. And I can't crit through it either. But if it's Iron Defense, like the double Ghost should be really valuable here. Well, Ghost Terra with Zama. Klefki lead would make sense. I'm almost thinking Rillaboom Entei, honestly. Giratina, Zama. And this is just to deal with Klefki. I think Entei is also just like solid offensively here, but I don't know if this is actually the right play. I think I just see Torterra and Klefki and I'm a little bit spooked out. And Entei obviously has Sacred Fire into both. I think it's like dropping Chien-Pao seems pretty weird, though, in this matchup. It's so good offensively into Koraidon and Torterra, but it's not great into hands, Volcarona, Klefki. It is going to be Klefki Volk, yeah, which I would have not loved leading Chien-Pao into. So this works for me, I think. I'm leaning towards just going Fake Out Sacred Fire. I do have Stone Edge. That actually is tempting. If they're leading this, though, surely they don't have Torterra in the back, right? The thing is, just screens are kind of annoying for us because we're almost entirely physical. So I'm down to just, like, at least try to deny them on turn 1. Is this Ghost Terra? Klefki? Well done, well done, well done. Okay. Very cool. It's not great for us. But it means no Terra for the rest of their team, so the question is, will they get enough value out of this? My other question is how fast Volk is. Ah, they Quiver Dance. I don't mind that very much because you're still just going to fold to a Stone Edge as long as I hit it. Sacred Fire connects. Probably does like 40-ish. Actually, a little bit more with that Life Orb. Nice. No burn, but that's fine. I think here I'm happy to switch Rilla out because I want to win the Terrain War, bring out Giratina, and then just Stone Edge into Volcarona. Like, the thing that we can take advantage of right now is that Klefki doesn't exert offensive pressure, so now what I can do is actually just ignore it and keep targeting around it. it would be great to get them down to 2 Pokemon ASAP, because then you have to lock into a move with Miraidon, which never feels good. But yeah, Stone Edge is a really nice tech here, and it's actually very good because Volcarona normally is used as a Zamazenta counter. Like, if I led Zama here, it's just completely useless into this lead, right? But Giratina plus Entei should be very well matched here. So, Klefki gets its screens up, but then the question is, where do you go from here? Yep, just Fiery Dance. I'm okay with that. Special attack boost. Stone Edge does miss, unfortunately, but that is the downfall of using that move. But I'm going to just click Poltergeist here to Klefki and Stone Edge again. Yep, Volk protects. Protect Thunder Wave makes sense. Yep. So, unfortunate miss. I think that honestly was probably pretty game winning on the spot, but we'll do our best to get out of it. Poltergeist doesn't miss, so we KO Klefki. Okay. You probably should bring out Miraidon now, right? Yeah, this is actually really annoying, because the thing is now Miraidon does exert a ton of pressure into Entei. It could have protected Entei there as well, but I guess it wouldn't have made a difference, because Miraidon still gets to swap out for free. Maybe I should have just Stone Edged on turn 1, though, honestly. I also didn't know what kind of bulk set this would be, but Quiver Dance makes sense with screens. So I'm expecting to see Miraidon. If Miraidon comes out, what do I do? I think if Miraidon comes out, it's actually really interesting, because what move do you click with it, right? I just attack with both, so I can pretty easily protect with both here. Entei also theoretically should just win the game into Volk. Like, I feel like Miraidon kind of needs to target Entei here. So what I want to do is just Draco Meteor into Miraidon. Switch into Rillaboom. But they might read it, honestly. And just, like, Electro Drift or even Draco Giratina. Don't want to Water Terra this into Miraidon. Normal Terra's not that great, since I haven't gotten chip damage. Yeah, I think I'm going to switch in Rilla Draco. They might Volt Switch with Miraidon. You could obviously Fiery Dance that slot on Rilla as well. Struggle Bug, that's cool. That does so much to us, actually. Wow. Is it Volt Switch in the Rilla slot? Draco Meteor. I actually don't mind that trade as long as I connect on my Draco. Okay. This probably does like 50%. Yeah. Ice Rider is going to be their last one. I could Ghost Terra this, but then I can't Terra Fire this. Terra Fire this is going to be pretty good in the end game. I think I'm okay just going Entei here. I mean, Entei's bulky here, so I think I can just Poltergeist. I mean, they might Draco Giratina, I suppose, right? But Dracoing this is fine if I get a knockout onto this, because then it's Entei plus Zama into -4. So I think I'm okay clicking Poltergeist into you, Stone Edge into you. The question is whether or not +2 Fiery Dance and Draco KOs Entei at -2. Oh my gosh, I think that does. That was really strong. The extra special attack boost earlier was really bad too. I could have protected, I guess. Yeah, that early Stone Edge miss unfortunately cost us this game. Protect may have been worth it there, but I actually really didn't think that would get the knockout. The Fiery Dance just did a lot more than I expected. Is that second special attack boost that they got from that first Fiery Dance, which ended up adding up. Maybe still possible to win, though. Shadow Sneak, KOU, Ghost Terra here, Body Press. Like, Body Press still does do damage into bulk. You just have to avoid getting burnt. If I protected Entei, though, then I would have been able to this turn Shadow Sneak. But I was just a little bit nervous because I knew I was fully paralyzed, and I also thought there was a chance that they just, like, target the Draco into Giratina. But the Volk is probably just max special attack investment. Okay. Fiery Dance into Giratina, okay. And another special attack boost. It's not terrible damage. This is one of those games. It's like everything goes wrong. Fiery Dance boost immediate into Stone Edge miss into the burn. Yeah, if that burn didn't happen, I think there was still maybe a shot. Would have been tough, I guess, with Reflect Up. It was a great Ghost Terror on Klefki turn 1, so good job on my opponent there. But yeah, now I just can't do enough damage, unfortunately. So it does sting to have Stone Edge, and then unfortunately whiff it right away, because like Volk ended up being the most valuable Pokemon on my opponent's end. But I also think like maybe could have played around the Thunder Wave from Klefki and like protected the turn that I fainted. Although it didn't actually matter, because it's like what it came down to was whether or not -2 Draco Meteor ++2 Fiery Dance knocked out Entei, and I thought the answer to that was actually going to be no, given that we're bulky Entei as well, but the Fiery Dance just did so much in the end. Zama Shadow Rider here with Chimpao, Rilla, Amoonguss, Raging Bolt. Okay. This I feel like could be an Entei game, honestly. Sacred Fire is pretty solid into a lot. I think Amoonguss is generally pretty annoying. Like, I want Chimpao. Rilla is, like, okay. Doesn't do much damage, do into a lot. So, Entei, Chimpao, Giratina, Zama. I normally end up Ghost Tearing Zama in matchups like this. I think I'm down for Entei. Lead. I think I want Giratina in the end game, because it's going to be really good into Shadow Rider Zama. I think I'm okay going Entei, Zama, Chimpao, Giratina. Chimpao lead I think is also acceptable here. The idea behind Entei Zama though is I can just Ghost Terra turn 1 and suddenly have 2 things that are really annoying to deal with, and you can't fake out. Right? Although I question if Rillaboom even comes out in this matchup for them. If I'm my opponent, I'm going Amoonguss, Bolt, Zama, Shadow Rider, dropping Chimpao. I would probably lead Amoonguss a lot of the times. I do think Amoonguss is an annoying Pokemon to deal with in closed team sheet, especially because we don't know what Terra type it is, right? Like Water Terra Amoonguss, for example, with me dropping Rillaboom means I actually don't have a lot of ways to hit it, and it can put a fair number of Pokemon asleep. It's going to be Zama, Bolt lead, okay. I think with this, I can go Extreme Speed Body Press, double up into Bolt. Just booster Bolt, interesting. The question is if I want to commit Ghost Terra on this immediately. I think it's worth it, honestly. So, yeah, Life Orb, Extreme Speed, Ghost Terra, Body Press is what I'm thinking of. The Extreme Speed here covers for a couple things, right? They might go Thunderclap, Body Press into Entei. And if we Extreme Speed, this works out well. I think in this matchup, I'm normally going to want to Terra Zamazenta, right? If I Terra Entei, it just becomes weak to Body Press and gets blown up. Giratina wants to stay Ghost Typing. Zama Protect. Okay, it might be a double Protect, but if it's not, this is absolutely huge turn 1. Okay, they do go for Protect. That's fine, though. They've obviously baited out my Terra, though. I'm also thinking now they may not Thunderclap. That being said, I think it's still a priority to get rid of Bolt. However, if you're my opponent now, you can switch Bolt out into Shadow Rider. So I'm actually thinking of going Sacred Fire into Zama now, Body Press into it. Because I think now you should be respecting the play that I make, and like a switch and a Shadow Rider would be really strong for them. They might just attack here, though, which would be a great play by them. Like, you could go for the Thunderclap body press play I was covering for on turn 1. Nice, they switch, yeah. I think that's Shadow Rider coming out, but let's see. Yeah. I thought about Sacred Fire Behemoth Bash into that slot, but I figured I'd rather target the Zama here. I'm curious if they Terra. I actually wouldn't mind a Terra here, because then it means... And they are going to Terra. This now means you can't Terra Shadow Rider, which means you are super Giratina weak. Terra Dragon. Okay, that's great for Giratina. Can hit both of these still for super effective. I don't mind that. This play makes a lot of sense from their end, though, right? It's like a really solid defensive play. You can see the Terra kind of saves them. Body Press comes out onto us. Sacred Fire connects. No miss. It does get a burn, which is quite nice. Although, with the Ghost type Giratina plus Ghost Terrazama, I'm actually not sure, like... it would have been able to do much damage anyway. Now they threaten, obviously, with Astral Barrage. I think what I can do is switch in Giratina now immediately, and then just Wide Guard. Yeah. This gets Giratina in for free, conserves Entei for a later Extreme Speed, potentially into Raging Bolt. I always thought like a Moongus should be my opponent's last one, so conserving it also is helpful for dealing with the Moongus. If you're my opponent, you could actually make a pretty nice play right now, which is hard switch Zamazenta out into a Moongus. Like, I think well-positioned Moongus is my biggest fear right now, but we don't see it come in, which is good. They get Nasty Plot here. That's the scariest thing to come out of Shadow Rider right now. But it's just Astro Beautiful. Okay. Yep. Body Press into Giratina. This next turn is interesting because, like, obviously I can pressure with Wide Guard again. Wide Guard Poltergeist. If you're my opponent, like, the play you should make is protect Calyrex, switch Zamazenta out, in my opinion. Go out into, like, Raging Bolt. So I'm thinking about doubling up into Lazama slot right now. Yeah, I think this turn I mainly question if this is an unnecessary prediction, because I could have pretty easily gone Wide Guard Shadow Sneak. But I think if you protect Shadow Rider, bring in Raging Bolt, it's actually a little bit awkward for me. I don't want them to just get a free switching into it. Oh, it's actually Calyrex switching. Okay. Into POW. Alright, that works for me. Like, this means they didn't bring a Moongus, which is already really good for us. Body Press almost gets the KO. They're going to Heavy Slam us, but that does 7 damage. And Poltergeist comes out. That switch now makes, I think, more sense to me with the context that Champow's out here, and it's likely that they have Focus Sash on the POW and not on Shadow Rider, which would be huge, right? Because it means I can just Shadow Sneak to KO you. Theoretically, still could be POW with Life Orb. I'm worried about just them clicking Astro Barrage. I think I'm down to just Shadow Sneak and go for Body Press here, honestly. Okay, Calyrex protects. The reason why I'm okay with this, though, is because, like, you're going to probably Ice Skull Crash into Giratina, but that's fine. Because then I get the attack into POW. Oh, they taunt us. Okay. I mean, it slaps Wide Guard, which is smart, but... like, now I can just Shadow Sneak Shadow Rider, right? Yeah. Thinking of doubling up into it because I think this could switch in a Raging Bolt right now. Taunt Chien-Pao is cool. You have to give up a pretty key move for it, right? Icicle Crash, Sucker Punch, Crunch, Protect. My main question is whether or not they switch out Shadow Rider. If not, you are eating up 4x super effective Shadow Sneak with Sword of Ruin. Okay, they just go for Sucker Punch, but yeah, I survived that. Nice. Shadow Sneak now comes out into Calyrex, and that is a one-hit knockout. It's one of the most satisfying things about using this Pokemon. Be able to one-shot those Shadow Riders. And Body Press comes out. It's a double KO. Very nice. I think Amoonguss not coming out in this matchup was huge. I think my opponent was probably a little bit scared to bring Amoonguss because they probably saw the Entei in team preview, but it would have caused me a lot of issues in my opinion. It's not the most exciting Pokemon to play against. So Bolt comes out. We still have all 4 Pokemon. I am happy to just go Shadow Sneak here and Body Press. But yeah, I think one of the key turns in this game was Shadow Rider switching out because I actually ignored that slot that turn. I think in retrospect, it's probably still better to just Shadow Sneak Shadow Rider Body Press into the Zama slot that turn, so I'm not going all in, right? Especially since I didn't know what item Shadow Rider actually had at the point in the game. No Thunderbolt does, but I don't think this even KOs. Oh, that does nothing, unfortunately. Taunt wears off, but yeah. Can just go Shadow Sneak again, Body Press again. Cool. I think, you know, Entei here, I'd say maybe didn't do as much as I would have liked, but it was still really crucial to bring because I think we need Amoonguss answers, right? And I think Amoonguss lead, for example, would give Giratina a lot of trouble, would give Zamazenta a lot of trouble. Chien-Pao's obviously pretty decent to it, but then you have to worry about Terra from it as well. So I think because they brought Chien-Pao over Amoonguss, the game was easier, and then because they Terra'd Zamazenta earlier, it meant that we had a way to really threaten the Shadow Rider, and then the fact that they were focus sash on the Chien-Pao rather than on Shadow Rider made things a lot easier for us as well. But yeah, I think curious about the Chien-Pao's other attack. I would assume it's Icicle Crash because the turn they taunted, they could have gone Icicle Crash instead, right? If they had done that, then I would have gotten a free switch into like Shadow Rider, or sorry, my Chien-Pao, and then I just pressure with like Sucker Punch Body Press, right? So it's not the end of the world. But the fact that they, 1, didn't knock out Giratina, and then 2, went for Sucker Punch on the second turn just made things definitely easier for us. Just so you know, though, the Icicle Crash from even Adamant Max Attack Chien-Pao is never a one-hit knockout onto Giratina. However, of course, if they had Icicle Crash, they could have gone Icicle Crash into Giratina, then Sucker Punch into it, right? For a 1-2 punch to get a knockout into you, and that would have prevented the Shadow Sneak from knocking out Shadow Rider. So I think Taunt to stop Wide Guard, clever, but maybe a little bit too late in that game because I still had all of my Pokemon and I wasn't needing to really click the Wide Guard when I already have Shadow Sneak pressure anyway, right? So I think, yeah, could have been put into a tougher position if they went Icicle Crash into Icicle Crash into Sucker Punch. Okay, we've got the Leech Seed Calyrex Ice Rider team that I just featured on the channel. This set is taking over VGC. This team won one of the biggest tournaments of the Reg-I format, piloted by one of the best players in the world. Main things you need to know about it: everything's really bulky. Choice Band, Ghost Terra Urshifu, Leech Seed Ice Rider, which is actually a pretty huge pain. Specs Koraidon, Slow Lando Eye with Taunt, Max Speed Ensign, and Grim. Okay. Normally, into the Koraidon matchups, you're going to want Rilla, Chien-Pao, Zama, Giratina. I'm trying to think if there's like an argument for Urshifu or Entei here. I don't mind Zama lead here, I think. Rilla, Zama lead is what I'm inclined to go with Giratina Ice Rider in the back. One of the things to think about in this matchup is who do we want to Terra. My preference is Terraing Giratina because with that we wall Ice Rider basically, which is, you know, part of the anti-meta theory behind Giratina. Pao is going to be really good into Koraidon. I think like Entei just doesn't feel great here. It's weak to Landorus. But, like, you theoretically could make an argument for Entei. Like, one of the interesting things about it is, like, extreme speed I actually think is not the worst here. I'm even thinking, like, what if I went Pao Entei? Which pressures with just, like, extreme speed, Sucker Punch, or Icicle Crash immediately. That would have been an option for sure. But let's see what they go with. Grim Instant is a possible lead. Instant or Grim with any of the strong attackers is possible. Grim Koraidon, okay. This is actually almost as good as it gets for us, in my opinion, because I have Fake Out immediately, and I win the Terrain War. We're also faster than Koraidon, which is a pretty big deal. This could obviously Volt Switch out on turn 1. Like, Reflect Volt Switch is a possibility. This could theoretically Ghost Terra right away. I think I'm actually leaning towards... So basically, like, one sequence I could go for is Fake Out, Behemoth, Bash, Grassy Glide. Get rid of this. But the alternative is just saying... I think the problem is if they get Reflect Up, Ice Rider is actually so annoying to deal with. So I think I will go Bash into this and Fake Out. The problem is they could Terra Ghost Grim. Terra Ghost Grim, in my opinion, is actually one of the best plays you could go for against this team, but they don't go for it, which is huge. Great. You would expect just Volt Switch with Koraidon. Grim does survive, so where this gets a little bit spooky for us is this next turn. Whatever you bring out, I think, like, you know, you could bring out Ice Rider, you could bring out Ursaluna, Instant even. If it's Instant, it's really interesting, though, right? Because then I just pressure with Body Press. Ice Rider makes sense. Then you can go Reflect Leech Seed. Or you could switch Ice Rider back out into Koraidon, changing the terrain, preventing Grassy Glide from being priority, and KOing Grimmsnarl before it gets the screens up. Terra is also a big deal here, right? You can only Terra one of Chien-Pao or Ice Rider. It is instant, interesting. This is a situation where they don't necessarily need to knock out Grimmsnarl. Instant here could Fake Out into either slot. Normally you'd expect Fake Out into Zama. Like I said, they could switch this back out. I really want to save my Terra for Giratina, I think. So I think I'm okay just going Grassy Glide, Body Press here. The thing here is you can only Fake Out one of the two Pokemon. If you Fake Out Zamazenta, I just knock out Grimmsnarl, no screens, no Thunder Wave. If you Fake Out Rillaboom, you get Reflect Up, but then I knock out your Incineroar. Or bring it really low, because they might obviously get a Reflect Up. It's a shame to miss out on the knockout on turn 1, but... yeah, they Fake Out Rilla. This is, like, I also could have obviously Ghost Terra'd with the Zama, but, like, do I really want to Ghost Terra here? No, because I want to Terra Ice Rider. Body Press still does a ton, though, which I'll take. Oh, they have changed the team, though. This is Rocky Helmet. Okay. I'm just curious. I think Grim may low-key survive Grassy Glide now, given that I'm intimidated and Reflect is up. But I think I'm okay just clicking Body Press again here and Woodhammer into... I'm actually thinking about targeting Incineroar, because they could switch this out, but they do switch out, yeah. Koraidon? Landorus. Wait, they dropped Ice Rider. Huh. Okay. I'll take it. I mean, Leech Seed Ice Rider I think is really annoying to deal with Zamazenta. I could see their argument for dropping it, though, because it just takes so long to get going. What's really good for us here is that Landorus is awful into Giratina. But my opponent has set up Reflect. We're basically using all physical Pokemon, so that's going to be a little bit tough. Koraidon now gets to come out for free as well. This is a big turn for my opponent, right? Because you pressure with Earth Power, Sludge Bomb, Volt Switch, Draco Meteor, Electro Drift. Rilla switching out is kind of the obvious play here. can body press into Koraidon here. I'm just wondering if it's ever U-turn. I actually don't hate clicking U-turn here. If you knock out Rillaboom, it means you're Draco Meteoring it, or you're going like Electro Drift Sludge Bomb into it, or Volt Switch Sludge Bomb. Any of those would be fine. They could get a double knockout right now. Earth Power into Zama, Draco into... That's Sludge Bomb. Wait, why is this Landorus faster than their Koraidon? It's Specs Lando? Or just super slow Koraidon? Sorry, not Specs Lando, Scarf Lando? Oh, that's a little surprising. This is fine, though. We get them to bring Instant out first, which is good. Reflecting Rocky Helmet really is a nightmare for us to deal with right now, though. So that's not great. They still haven't Terra'd either. Okay. Bring out Giratina now. I bring out Rillaboom. They just fake me out. That might be fine though, right? If you fake out into Rillaboom, they still have Terra available is the problem. Yeah, that is a big problem, right? Basically, I'm thinking if I go Rillaboom here, I could bait the fake out into Rillaboom and then just Draco Meteor, KO Instant. Right now, they pressure knockoff into me. I think I will go Chien-Pao here. Fake out into this is kind of like the obvious play, but I'm thinking there's a chance they just attack Giratina here with knockoff. Wait, I also still have Terra available, so... I could just Ghost Terra with Chien-Pao here, right? Ghost Terra, Ice Skull Crash. Draco seems okay. If Landorus Terras, it means you can't Terra Koraidon, which is a big deal. So interesting they dropped Ice Rider here. I would not have expected that, but I actually think it's quite smart. Because Lando is really good into Zama from an offensive standpoint. So Chien-Pao Ghost Terras here. Now it's double Ghost immunity to fake out. Okay. We get the knockout onto Landorus. They didn't Terra. And yeah, it's not Scarf Lando. And Giratina outspeeds Instant. What are their speed stats? Like, Koraidon was slower than Landorus. And then Incineroar, which was normally max speed on this team, also ended up being slower than Giratina. I mean, I'll take it. And they didn't Terra. I mean, that's just a guaranteed win at this point, I think, right? They're conserving Terra for Koraidon for Terra Fairy, presumably. Terra Fairy and just Gleam. I can go Ice Skull Crash here. Switch into Rillaboom. Oops. Ice Skull Crash into you. Switch into Rillaboom here. Because they have to go Fairy Terra Dazzling. I think anything else that you just lose. But if you go Fairy Terra Dazzling, you eliminate the Rillaboom, but then now you have no more terrain, and then I just get Giratina back out with Chien-Pao. I didn't have a 100% way to win this game, right? Because I could always miss my moves. And it should be Fairy Terra. I was just wondering if it's more optimal to actually, like, sacrifice something. But how do I even sacrifice something? I'd have to protect Chien-Pao, or just attack with Chien-Pao, lose Giratina, get Rillaboom in. I do miss the Ice Skull Crash. Oh, interesting. Okay. It is going to be the Dazzle commit, yeah. I mean, that's actually pretty scary, because with Crash hitting there, I would have had Crash and a Shadow Sneak, which probably should do enough. The thing is, I just don't think Fairy Terra Dazzling KOs Giratina. Which means what I can do is protect here and Poltergeist, and then I can go Ice Cold Crash Shadow Sneak. But that's the downside with this team. You have a lot of 90% accurate moves. Okay, Giratina's really bulky, so I expect to survive this, but let's see. Yeah. Poltergeist. Nice. We do not miss there. Okay, great. Now I can go Ice Cold Crash onto you and Shadow Sneak onto you. So here's Shadow Sneak. Okay, and Crash hits. Should be a KO. Nice. I can see why they saved their Terra all the way until this endgame. So it's interesting, though, because I think a lot of the speed stats change from the initial team version of this team, because, like, the Landorus is also really bulky and slow, but my guess is it's, like, super slow and bulky Koraidon, max speed Landorus, and then instant speed got dropped down once again, because, you know, us just getting the double knockout with Ice Cold Crash plus Draco Meteor was huge. So, yeah, this endgame is why I wanted to switch the Giratina out and back in, because I figured, like, you have to click Dazzling Gleam, and you shouldn't be able to knock out Giratina with just a Dazzling Gleam outside of terrain, which means I get a Poltergeist off, and so it afforded even for a single Ice Cold Crash miss in the endgame there, which was nice, but always adds a little bit of drama, right? Because then the alternative is, I think, protect Chien-Pao, Shadow Sneak, sacrifice Giratina, bring in Rillaboom, fake out Ice Cold Crash, Grassy Glide. But, like, out of all my moves in that endgame, the most powerful move is Poltergeist, and so I figured getting a full power Poltergeist often means winning the game. Kyogre, Zama, Urshifu, Rilla, Bolt, Tornadus. Okay. Not an Entei game. I mean, Chien-Pao is actually really good into... Like, if I don't bring Chien-Pao, I'm insanely weak to Raging Bolt. If you're my opponent, I don't think it makes sense to bring Rillaboom, so you drop that. I'd honestly probably go Tornadus if I were them, but... I think... Basically, I'm, like, debating between Power, Ursh, and Rilla, because I think all three are bringable. I think leading Zama makes sense, because it gives me Wide Guard immediately into Kyogre. I don't hate Rilla... I was going to say Rilla Ursh, but then, like, what's my Bolt matchup? It's just scary because they have a lot of leads here, and if they get the right lead, I could be playing from way behind right away. I think I'll lead Zama. Zama, Pow, Giratina, Rillaboom. I'm almost like, do I just drop Giratina here? I don't know. Because it is quite bad into play rough, and then with us being Fire Terra, I'm actually pretty weak into Kyogre as well. Like, I was thinking there's a world where I go Rilla, Ursh, Chien-Pao, Zama. Zacian, Bolt lead. Booster energy, no booster energy, okay. Obviously could Thunderclap. I am leaning towards, like, either of these could protect right now. Zacian does get access to Swords Dance, and so that scares me a little bit. Like, the play I'd like to make is just double protect on turn 1 to bait out Protector Terras. So I think I'm going to go for it, but this is vulnerable to Zacian clicking Swords Dance, which scares me. I thought about Sucker Punch, Body Press, just KO Bolt before it gets to move, eliminate one of the key threats to Giratina. We do bait out a Terra, so I actually think this is net positive already. It could be Terra, though, on Zama. It's Terra, Bolt, Electric, Fairy... I mean, if they're going for this, I think it was probably Thunderclap plus Behemoth Blade into the... Oh, no. Wait, Sucker Punch Body Press totally would have killed it here then, I think. But it may have been Thunderclap into Zama. Wow, they just went Thunderbolt. Huh. I mean, what's stopping them from going Behemoth Blade Thunderclap now onto me? The answer is not much. Question is whether or not that KOs me. This is a really hard matchup from like an offensive standpoint and a defensive standpoint, I feel like. I'm gonna Sucker Punch here, which gets around Thunderclap, but they could Thunderclap Zama here. You got a crit, that does a ton. Oh, they didn't Thunderclap. Okay, nice. I'm really surprised by their aversion to Thunderclapping, but I'll gladly take it, because I thought they could have just doubled up onto Zama here, but maybe, yeah, like, they weren't sure if that was going to be a KO, which I think would be a fair question, but we've baited out Terra from their end now, which is good. The problem is I think Zacian actually matches up really well into us still. I think normally into Zacian Ogre, Urshifu is the answer. I'm now thinking it probably was Urshifu over Rillaboom in this matchup. But they do bring out their Ursh. You don't have Terra anymore. I could Sucker Body Press Urshifu pretty easily here. I don't think we Terra either of these, so I think it's fine to just Terra this immediately and then go Body Press here and Sucker Punch. Wide Guard would be good in the end game. Yeah, I think it was actually bring Urshifu over Rillaboom in this one. Should have identified that better. It's just scary to bring Ursh into this matchup, but basically, if I had Ursh in this endgame and I knock out their Urshifu, my Ursh just wins the game on the spot. It meant that I could have conserved Water Terra on Ursh and then just like ended the game with Water Terra Surging Strikes into Zamazenta. Or sorry, Zacian. Yeah, so they Blade here. But it doesn't feel great to bring Ursh in this matchup because they have Bolt, Rilla, and Horn in Team Preview. We don't knock out Ursh either, which is not great. Okay. My key question now is whether or not it's Choice Scarf Kyogre in the back. If I bring out Rilla, I could pretty easily just fake out Zacian Body Press, which I think I'm down for. I also don't really care about targeting Urshifu this turn. It would make sense for them to even consider protecting, and I do need damage onto Zacian, so I actually think I'm going to go fake out Body Press into Zacian. Yeah, I'm down. They might double protect here. A great play by them. Yeah, Zacian does protect. Does Urshifu protect as well is the question. Okay, that's fine. It means I can Grassy Glide Body Press next turn. A couple questions I have here is like, what does Kyogre have in this endgame? What item do you have? Do you have Ice Beam? Because Giratina can take the water type attacks decently well. The Grassy Terrain recovery on Zama is actually pretty crucial as well, which is nice. But I think here I can just go Body Press into Zacian and Grassy Glide into Ursh. But yeah, basically, if I had Urshifu 4th rather than Rilla, I think I could have then brought out Giratina as the replacement for Chimpao and then Pressure Shadow Sneak Body Press. And then I get to a range where then I can just Water Terra Surging Strikes everything. And then with Wide Guard support, I'm pretty protected into Kyogre as well. No Aqua Jet from their end, so we do KO Urshifu, which is good. As long as I don't get crit, I think I should be okay right now. They target Rilla, which makes sense. Nice. Big body press into them. Okay. Yeah, this is just where I'm worried about it being Scarf Kyogre, but Scarf Ogre doesn't make a ton of sense when you have Tornadus on the team as well. Kyogre could protect here. Like, the play I'm leaning towards is just Body Press Zacian, Grassy Glide into Kyogre. I think I'm okay with that. Glide covers for Water Spout. Scarf Origin Pulse would be my biggest nightmare, or Scarf Hydro. Oh my gosh, that did so much damage. It is Scarf Hydro. Wait, but I survived? I saw the Hydro Pump come out and I was like, well, that's game over, right? But Zamazenta is so clutch. It actually hangs on. No way. I thought that was, like, certainly doomed. Wow. Genuinely, one, shook that I survive, and two, it was actually Scarfed. That's what I was saying earlier on. I was like, I really wonder what item it is, because if it's not Scarfed there, then it means I always get the body press off before you attack. Like, the main problem there is if Hydro Pump gets the KO, I just lose, I think. But we survive with just 5 HP in a dream. Yeah, you're Scarf. You can't ever beat Giratina here, so should be good. Like Giratina in the game with the Poltergeist. But yeah, Scarf Ursh, I think I would consider bringing in the future. I think my opponent not Thunderclapping was a big deal in this one, right? Like, we only won the game by 5 HP on Zamazenta, and if they had Thunderclapped plus, like, Behemoth Bladed into the Zama slot, I may have even fainted with it, given that they committed Electric Terra. So, like, Electric Terra is a good offensive and defensive Terra for them, right? But, yeah, I think them using their Terra and not getting anything off from it was big. Me getting the knockout onto Bolt was big. And then the survival with Zama obviously was absolutely huge here in the end as well. Anyway, that's going to be it for this one. So thank you so much, as always, for joining me. I hope that I have unlocked the power of Giratina Origin form in your eyes, and I've shown you why this is actually a very interesting anti-meta pick in the format right now. So thanks so much, as always, for watching. If you enjoyed, would really appreciate if you consider leaving a like on the video or subscribing to the channel, and I'll see you all soon. All right, peace.